Captain Eric Nolan stood at the edge of the landing platform, staring down at the jagged valleys of Zarathas. The planet's surface stretched endlessly, a harsh blend of rocky cliffs, deep canyons, and strange, glowing flora. His team of explorers had expected danger. They had trained for it, but nothing could have prepared them for the stories whispered by the settlers who had survived the first expeditions. Tales of an alien princess and her monstrous companion filled the air like warnings, yet Eric refused to believe in fairy tales. Humans had conquered hostile worlds before. Why not this one? As the shuttle's engines powered down, the wind carried a strange scent, sharp, metallic, and vaguely sweet. Eric inhaled it, feeling a twinge of unease. Around him, the crew disembarked, scanning the terrain with their sensors and weapons ready. Lieutenant Mara Cho, his second-in-command, frowned as she pointed at the nearby cliffs. "Captain, readings are off the charts here. Something's moving up there. Something big." Eric nodded, stepping forward. "We keep to the plan. We set up camp, secure a perimeter, and gather samples. Nothing unusual." He forced a confidence he did not entirely feel. The settlers' warnings of a princess who commanded a beast were hauntingly specific, and something about this planet made him instinctively cautious. By late afternoon, the team had established a small base near a river of greenish liquid that seemed harmless but glowed faintly under the planet's twin suns. Eric moved through the camp, checking on each member. Supplies were secure, communications were stable, and the sensors around the perimeter were functioning. Everything appeared normal, too normal. Then the first attack happened. A low, rumbling growl echoed from the cliffs. The sound vibrated through the rocks and caused Eric's stomach to tighten. "All units, report," he shouted. The sensors showed nothing at first, just some movement in the shadows, but the growl grew louder, deeper, and unmistakably alive. From the cliffs, a massive shadow fell across the camp. The explorers froze. A figure appeared, tall, lithe, with flowing silver armor that shimmered in the light. Behind her, a beast larger than any creature Eric had ever seen crouched, its scales reflecting the green sunlight. Its eyes glowed with intelligence, and its movements were eerily precise, as if it understood not just the terrain but the humans before it. The princess landed gracefully on a rocky outcrop. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, fixed on Eric. A smirk played on her lips. "My beast devours men stronger than you," she said, her voice melodic yet cutting. The words were a challenge, a taunt, but also carried something like curiosity. She tilted her head and studied him. "Are you foolish or brave enough to face it?" Eric stepped forward, unafraid but alert. He had faced hostile creatures and intelligent predators before, but nothing like this. "I've survived worse," he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "We come in peace. We're explorers, not invaders." The princess's smile widened. "Peace is a concept easily broken. Let's see if you can survive my land first." She signaled the beast, and it moved closer, low to the ground, muscles rippling, tail swinging with deadly precision. The crew tensed, weapons raised, but Eric motioned them back. He wanted to handle this without bloodshed if possible. "Show yourself then," the princess continued. "Survive my test, and perhaps I will let you leave my territory. Fail, and you will feed my beast." Her tone was playful, almost teasing, yet every word carried weight. Eric sensed that she wasn't just toying with him. She was evaluating him, testing his mind as much as his strength. The princess leapt onto her beast's back, disappearing into the cliffs. Eric studied the terrain, noting every ledge, shadow, and possible ambush. He realized that survival would not come from weapons alone. He would need intelligence, patience, and the ability to predict not only the creature's moves, but also the princess's strategy. For the next several hours, Eric moved cautiously through the cliffs, avoiding traps that seemed impossible to anticipate. The beast appeared occasionally, testing him with sudden charges or bursts of speed, always retreating when Eric managed to evade it. At one point, Eric found himself cornered on a narrow ledge. The creature's massive jaws snapped shut just inches away, forcing him to cling to the rocks and calculate his next move carefully. His heart pounded, but his mind remained clear. Through the trials, Eric began to notice something unusual about the princess. She did not attack directly. Instead, she observed, sometimes laughing softly or muttering to her beast. There was an intelligence here that transcended brute force, a strategy and cunning that reminded Eric of human generals, but magnified. He realized that she respected those who could think and adapt, rather than those who relied solely on power. Night fell over Zarathas, and the twin moons cast a pale glow on the cliffs. Eric, exhausted but alert, found a small cave to rest in. From his vantage point, he could see the princess and her beast resting on a high plateau, their silhouettes outlined against the moons. He wondered about her life, her people, and why she had chosen to defend her land so fiercely. The following morning, Eric awoke to the sound of movement. The beast had already begun circling him, silent and deliberate. The princess's voice carried through the wind, soft but clear. "You survived the night. Few do." She appeared on a ledge above, smirking down at him. "But surviving is only the beginning. Today, the real test begins." Eric nodded, understanding that this challenge was not merely about strength or survival skills. It was a test of character, intellect, and courage. He felt an unexpected thrill. This planet was dangerous, yes, but it was also alive in a way he had never encountered. Every rock, shadow, and gust of wind seemed charged with awareness. As the day unfolded, Eric navigated a series of deadly terrains designed by the princess. Narrow ridges, hidden pitfalls, and sudden chasms tested his agility and judgment. The beast continued to stalk him, its eyes glowing with an unsettling intelligence. Every encounter was a battle of wits. Eric began to understand the rhythm of the predator, predicting its movements and using the environment to his advantage. Hours passed. Sweat poured down his face, muscles burned, and yet he pressed on. At one point he stumbled and fell into a shallow ravine, only to find himself face to face with the beast. Its massive jaws opened, revealing rows of sharp teeth. Eric froze, unsure of how to survive this close encounter. Then the princess's voice cut through the tension. "Clever human, you did not attack, you observed. You understood without rushing. That is why you live." The beast paused, seemingly acknowledging her command. Eric seized the moment, climbing out of the ravine and continuing his path, heart racing but alive. By evening, Eric reached the base of the princess's fortress, a towering structure carved into the cliffs, glowing faintly with energy crystals embedded in the stone. The princess awaited him at the entrance, her smirk unchanged. "You lived," she said, her tone now carrying a hint of respect. "But this is only the beginning. Tomorrow, you face challenges that will test not only your strength but your mind and soul. Are you ready, human?" Eric met her gaze without flinching. "I am," he replied. "I did not come here to fight needlessly. I came to understand your world. If that earns your respect, so be it." The princess tilted her head, studying him as if weighing every word. Then she laughed softly, a sound both musical and dangerous. "We shall see," she said. "For now, rest. The true game begins at dawn, and remember, my beast is always watching." As Eric settled down to sleep, he could hear the low rumble of the creature somewhere above him. It was a reminder that on Zarathas, survival depended not on weapons alone, but on intelligence, courage, and respect for forces far greater than oneself. He closed his eyes, knowing that tomorrow would be the most dangerous day of his life, but also the most revealing. The night was quiet, yet charged with anticipation. Somewhere high above, the princess and her beast watched, and Eric felt the weight of their scrutiny. He had survived the first test, but the real challenge was just beginning. And deep inside, he knew that this world, harsh, deadly, and beautiful, was unlike any he had ever encountered. As dawn approached, the cliffs began to glow with the light of Zarathus's suns. Eric rose, stretching his aching muscles, and prepared himself. The princess awaited, and the ultimate test of wit, courage, and survival was about to unfold. He took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the planet around him. The adventure had only just begun. Dawn broke over the cliffs of Zarathus, painting the jagged rocks in shades of gold and green. Captain Eric Nolan stood at the edge of his small camp, surveying the fortress carved into the cliffside. The princess awaited him, and today's challenge would push him beyond survival. It would test his courage, intelligence, and judgment. The air was thick with anticipation, and even the wind seemed charged, whispering secrets of the dangerous trials to come. Eric approached the fortress carefully, his boots crunching against the rocky ground. Every step was measured. He knew the beast was still nearby, hidden in the shadows, observing his movements. He felt the weight of its gaze even before he saw it. His team remained at the base camp, but he had chosen to face this trial alone, understanding that the princess's challenges were meant to measure individual skill. When he reached the fortress entrance, the princess appeared on a high balcony. Her silver armor shimmered under the twin suns, and her long hair blew in the wind. She smirked, the same playful, dangerous expression that had haunted him since their first encounter. "Welcome, human," she said. "The final test begins now. Retrieve the crystal from the inner chamber and you will earn my respect. Fail, and the beast will finish what the cliff started." Eric nodded, studying the fortress's design. It was more than a simple structure. It was a living puzzle. The walls were lined with energy fields that could cut through metal, hidden traps were embedded in the floors, and alien guardians patrolled the corridors. Every element had been carefully designed to challenge intruders. He took a deep breath, adjusting his equipment. This would not be won with brute strength. Strategy and observation were key. He moved cautiously through the first corridor, avoiding pressure plates that triggered sonic pulses. The alien guardians were swift but predictable if observed carefully. Eric noted their patterns, timing his movements to slip past without alerting them. The fortress itself seemed to watch him, as if the entire structure was an extension of the princess's will. He realized that she had not only trained the beast, but also orchestrated every element of this challenge to test his mind as much as his body. The first significant obstacle came in the form of a vast chasm. A narrow bridge, made of a crystalline substance, stretched across the gap, but it vibrated and shifted unpredictably. Eric took a moment to analyze it, noticing subtle vibrations that revealed the bridge's timing. He leapt carefully, each step measured, using a grappling tool only when necessary. Halfway across, he sensed movement. The beast's shadow appeared below, its massive form moving with incredible speed. Eric held his breath, steadying himself, and made the final jump to the opposite side just as the creature lunged beneath him. The fortress interior grew darker as he descended deeper. The walls pulsed with energy, casting eerie shadows. Eric realized that the princess was not merely testing his agility, she was challenging his perception. Subtle illusions, faint energy traps, and deceptive pathways created a maze where even a single misstep could be fatal. He relied on logic and instinct, marking his path with small holographic beacons that allowed him to track progress and detect false routes. Eventually, Eric reached a large chamber where the crystal was housed. It floated above a pedestal, glowing with an ethereal light. As he approached, the air shifted, and a low growl echoed through the room. The beast appeared, massive and terrifying, blocking the only exit. Its eyes gleamed with intelligence, as if it understood every move Eric was about to make. Eric steadied himself. He could not fight it head-on. The beast's strength was far greater than his own. Instead, he relied on observation and strategy. He noticed the creature's movements followed a rhythm, its weight and focus shifting predictably. Using the pedestal and surrounding structures as cover, Eric maneuvered carefully, avoiding its attacks while inching closer to the crystal. His heart pounded, but his mind remained sharp. The princess's voice echoed through the chamber. "Clever human, you understand the beast. Most fail because they rely on strength alone." Eric didn't respond. Words would not help here. Instead, he continued to observe, adapt, and anticipate. After several tense minutes, he seized an opening, grabbing the crystal while simultaneously using a reflective panel to confuse the beast. Its attention shifted, giving him the chance to escape. With the crystal in hand, Eric sprinted toward the chamber exit. The fortress seemed to respond to his success, doors sliding open while others closed behind him, as if acknowledging his skill. The princess appeared at the balcony once more, her smirk widening. "Impressive," she said. "You not only survived but understood. Few humans could match this." Eric emerged from the fortress into the sunlight, exhausted but victorious. The beast watched from a distance, its eyes following his every move. He sensed respect in its gaze, an acknowledgement that he had passed the test not through brute force, but through intelligence and courage. The princess descended from the cliffs, landing lightly beside him. "You have proven yourself human," she said. Her tone was no longer teasing. It carried a hint of genuine admiration. "Your strength is not just in your body but in your mind. That is rare among your kind." Eric nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and respect. He had come here expecting a fight, but what he had encountered was far more meaningful, a test of character, of wit, and of understanding. Over the following days, Eric and the princess spent time exploring the planet together. She showed him hidden valleys where dangerous creatures roamed yet lived in harmony with the ecosystem, teaching him the delicate balance she maintained. He realized that her fearsome reputation was not born of cruelty, but of necessity. She protected her people and her land from outsiders who would exploit it. Eric shared his knowledge of human technology, offering insights into how humanity approached exploration and problem-solving. The princess listened, intrigued by his perspective. Though vastly different from her own world, she found his intelligence and courage compelling. Slowly, a bond formed between them, a mutual respect that transcended language and culture. One afternoon, as they rested near a crystal-lined river, the beast appeared not as a threat, but as a companion. Eric observed it carefully, noting the way it responded to subtle gestures from the princess. It was clear that she had trained it not merely as a weapon, but as a partner, and now she allowed Eric a glimpse into this connection. The creature approached him cautiously, sniffed, and then nudged his hand, accepting him in a way that felt almost ceremonial. "You see, human," the princess said, smiling faintly, "strength alone is meaningless here. To survive, you must understand. You must adapt. You must respect the world you walk in." Eric nodded, appreciating the lesson. His victories had been measured not by weapons or combat skill, but by observation, strategy, and courage. As night fell, the twin moons cast their pale light across the cliffs. Eric and the princess stood on a high plateau, overlooking the planet below. The air was filled with the hum of alien life, a constant reminder of the challenges and beauty of Zarathas. For the first time, Eric felt a sense of awe and humility. This was not merely a hostile world to conquer, it was a living, breathing entity, and to survive here required far more than human strength. The princess turned to him, her expression softer than he had ever seen. "You have done well, human," she said. "Perhaps one day you will see that our worlds are not so different. Courage, intelligence, and respect, these are the traits that endure no matter the planet." Eric smiled, exhausted but exhilarated. He had faced the princess's tests, survived the beast, and glimpsed the mysteries of a world far beyond human understanding. Yet he knew that this was only the beginning. His journey on Zarathas would continue, filled with challenges, discoveries, and lessons that would test him in ways he could never have imagined. For now, he allowed himself a moment of rest. The princess and her beast were near, silent guardians of a land both beautiful and deadly. Eric felt a deep sense of respect and gratitude. He had come seeking adventure, but he had found wisdom, courage, and an unlikely alliance with a being whose power and intelligence surpassed anything humanity had known. As he gazed at the horizon, the twin suns dipping below the cliffs, Eric realized something profound. The true strength of a human was not measured in weapons or brute force, but in the ability to adapt, to understand, and to respect the life and intelligence around them. And on Zarathas, that lesson was written in every cliff, every shadow, and every glance of the princess's smirking eyes. The night settled over the planet, quiet yet alive with unseen energy. Eric lay beneath the alien sky, knowing that he had survived not by defeating, but by learning and respecting. The princess's challenge had ended, but the bond they had formed promised more adventures, more discoveries, and perhaps a deeper understanding between human and alien. As sleep claimed him, he felt the gentle rumble of the beast nearby, a reminder that life on Zarathas was neither simple nor forgiving. Yet, for the first time, he felt a sense of belonging in this strange, dangerous, and breathtaking world. He had faced the impossible, survived the unthinkable, and emerged not only alive but wiser, and perhaps even stronger, not in muscle, but in mind and spirit. The princess watched him from a distance, her smirk softened into a faint smile, acknowledging a human who had proven that true strength comes from courage, intelligence, and respect. And in that moment, Zarathas seemed to hum in approval, a planet alive with secrets, challenges, and the promise of stories yet to unfold.